Hello YouTube friends. So today I'm going to be doing a video. I'll try to keep it to a short video because, like I've said in other posts, people can't sit there and watch anything. Basically what I'm going to go over is how to punch out a catalytic converter on a certified shit box. As you see here, that's a certified shit box. It's an 03 CRV. Great vehicle, just an outdated shit box. Anything you can imagine. It's got 300,000 miles. Replaced everything 10 times over. Great vehicle, but a shit box nonetheless. So I'm not willing to spend the money to replace it with a high-end catalytic converter. The converter I put on here is a Davinco or something along those lines, a Rock Auto $300 special. I got about 2 years out of it, but the shit box burning so much oil, it's just plugged up. So what I'm gonna do is just punch it out. I don't recommend this, especially if you're in one of those states with this EPA kind of shit or whatever it is, but I don't live in one of those states. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take you through the basics of how to punch out a shit box catalytic converter without removing it from the vehicle. So stay tuned. So first thing you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to undo these bolts here. They're 12mm bolts. In this case, they're 12mm bolts because that was all I had, because the original ones had rusted off, and I just jammed these things on there with washers and 2 gaskets. Once you undo this, do not be surprised if these flanges are warped and you can't get a good seal. It's just the same thing. So I ended up putting in 2 gaskets, cranking them on together a couple of years ago. So the odds of this coming off without any heat is basically 0 to none, especially with where I live. As you can tell, it's what you'd call in America a rust belt, but where I'm not in America, I'm just in a shithole city. It uses a lot of sand and salt on the ground because of the winter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat these up. I'm using a acetylene torch. You might be able to use MAP gas or propane, but personally I just use oxygen and acetylene to get it off. So I'm going to take you through that part. So got my little torch lit up. Just a basic cheap torch. It's going to put a bit of heat to it. Another thing I would recommend is if you got yourself a leak or anything like that, like fuel leaks, any kind of flammable stuff, I'd steer clear using the torch. I'd figure something else out. I don't know about those induction heaters or whatever that shit is, but personally I just use the torch. Try to get it red hot, and usually if you're lucky you're gonna get it off. I find with the factory original, any of the Japanese bolts, they usually come off pretty smooth compared to a domestic bolt. I don't know what they use in that Japanese steel or whatever, but it seems to come off a lot easier. Again, if you wanted to heat up faster, you could just turn up the gas, but I'm kind of cheap, as you can tell, the shit box and whatnot. So I just kind of let it heat up a little bit slow. At least you get 1/2 of the nut red, and then usually you should be able to get it off pretty easy. Oh, shots fired, boys. I know someone's gonna say you should get a Milwaukee. Well, I got a lot of Milwaukees, and I got this one for free, so free is the best price. Okay, and as you can see, I was successfully able to get that nut off. Might be some kind of a poly nut. Yeah, it's got some kind of poly on the end. I must use whatever I had at the time. So stay tuned and I'll bring you through the rest of it. You don't want to watch me undo the same nuts over again. That shit boring. Oh yeah, now I've got the top one. Fortunately, the top one does not want to come off, and I'm not feeling the reach my hand up there. It doesn't want to come off, mostly because it's stripped, so I'm just gonna have to blow the bit. I'll just have to blow the bitch off. Oh, maybe a little bit tricky getting that torch in there. There we go. A lot of times I like to blow off the back of I'm blowing off a bolt. I like to blow off the back of the bolt, and then you can just punch it through after. You don't need to go crazy on the oxygen when you're blowing off. I find with blowing bolts off, just give it a touch of oxygen. If you get too crazy on your oxy while you're blowing it, you'll end up hacking into your parent material. And if you kind of keep the temperatures a little different, you'll see them. You can a lot of times just knock off just your bolt and your washer without touching a flange. And I say this as a railway mechanic who's pretty familiar with torches. So it's a close-up look. Chunk of it's broken off inside the mid pipe. That's the inside. That's your actual, that's the honeycomb material. I'm not sure, exactly sure. It's got precious metals and stuff in it. But before someone says, hey, you should save that stuff and bring it in, this is a $200 cat. It's not worth my time drive there, even if it was worth 50 bucks. So this is all getting smashed out, and we're gonna see if she breathes. Pretty much what I'm gonna use is just this. I guess it's like a hole bit for drywall or cutting holes in wood. And I'm just gonna feed that through until I can get it broken up enough. And then I'll send in a pry bar and kind of smash it up a bit. It is important to note that you might want to avoid the sensor if you are concerned about the sensor getting damaged. The O2, I guess the downstream. I'm not concerned about it if you haven't figured it out yet. So then I'll just feed that bitch through. Oh, what I did, I actually had to kind of cut it off a bit there. So I stuck a rod through, just like a piece of rebar. Stuck it through till I knocked out all the big chunks. So mostly gone. And then what I would do, I would open the garage door, fire her up. I'm gonna keep this camera out of the way because I don't really want this camera getting hit, but hey, it's expensive. From there, well, you can see blue chunks of the shit everywhere. From there, I would just go double check again. Make sure you got all that out of there. And it looks like we got some freedom showing through. So, I'll button it all back up. I don't expect the gasket to seal because the flange is so warped, but so long as it doesn't gas me out inside the cab, I'm good. I'm not going to bore you with that side of things because I got a leak in. Okay, well, it's all put back together now. It's back down on the ground. Runs just a little louder than normal. She really breathes now. Really opened that 161 horses up. Anyways, like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't recommend this as a correct repair. It's definitely not EPA compliant or any of that kind of stuff. But in the scenario I was in, it was plugged so much I couldn't drive around under 4,000 RPMs. It was revving up on the highway. It was rattling. That mid pipe was completely blocked. So it was just going to cause problems for me. I don't feel like buying a $300 cat. Well, $300 US. So for me, probably by the time I'm done paying a tax and a tariff, you know, it's probably $600-700. And to be fair, this thing's probably only worth like, nah, the tires are worth more than the CRV. But anyhow, I don't recommend it. Hopefully it was helpful. If it wasn't helpful, at the very least, I hope it was funny. So, all right, take care. Tune in my channel. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and whatever else you might want to say.